Hello, this is John with Brainstorm Comics and Gaming, and this is this week's The Storm Watch, where the Brainstorm Comics and Gaming crew goes over this week's releases and we try and figure out which top 3 DC, Independent, and Marvel books should be on your stack this week. The difference between the happiest day of the week and the saddest day of the week is whether or not the book you are looking forward to is on the shelf. So this is to help you make sure that you have it in your box and ready for you ahead of time. Before we begin, don't forget to LCS, like, comment, and subscribe, the Brainstorm Comics and Gaming YouTube channel. But let's get started with DC's picks this week. So number 3 this week is a familiar one to those who have been watching the Storm Watch, and that is Joker number 4. So the reason that this one makes the top 3 pick yet again is number 1, James Tynion IV is the writer. He's the architect of a lot of the Bat universe right now. He's doing an excellent job on all of the titles, but I feel like this one is his most standout one. I think this is the best Batman book out on the shelves. Some people would argue with me that Nightwing may be a little bit better. Like I said, I like this one though. The cool thing about this one, even though it's a quote-unquote Joker story, it's actually more about Gordon and the effects that Joker has had on his life and how it has driven him. So that is why this one has made the top 3, but let's read the solicit. And that brings us to the solicit for Joker number 4. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, the solicit was written very poorly, so we're going to have to make some corrections in how it's worded. But let's get to that. It's murder and mayhem in the jungles of South America. The Joker is pitted against everyone hunting him. He's prepared for this massacre in a way that only the Crown Prince of Crime can. But what secret does he whisper to Jim Gordon as the bullets fly? What is the true mystery? So as I said, the Joker has been an excellent series up to this point. It's about Gordon and his interactions with the Joker, and I think that this one should be on your list if it hasn't been, and if you've been missing out, I would definitely pick up the graphic novel when it becomes available. But let's move on to the number 2 pick for DC this week, and that is Batman Urban Legends number 4. So to start off with this one, we said it every time that this one has made the top list as well. The main writer on this title is Chip Zdarsky, who is a rising star within the comic community. I think he will definitely be a top tier talent. I think he's already bordering on that right now. Tim Drake is one of my favorite Robins. He is one of the characters in these stories. And an added bonus on this one is Camrus Johnson, who plays Luke Fox on Batwoman, is writing a story about Luke Fox. So that's a cool little aside on that one. But let's go to the solicit and find out what everything is about this one. So the solicit for Batman Urban Legends reads as follows. The penultimate chapter of the Grifter story is here. Grifter's walking a deadly line between Lucius Fox and Halo's plan. Can he survive the endgame? Oh, and yeah, now Superman is after him as well. As old wounds threaten to sabotage Batman, and Red Hood's investigation into the teardrop drug turning Gotham City upside down, they run afoul of Gotham's coldest criminal, Mr. Freeze. And the force behind the teardrops will be banking on the former dynamic duo's demise. Also, Tim Drake has returned to the streets of Gotham City and is seeking a new purpose, but what he finds is a string of young adult kidnappings committed by someone known only as the Chaos Monster. Will Tim be able to get to the root of the kidnapping, or will he fall prey to them? Critically acclaimed future state Robin Eternal writer Megan Fitzmartin returns to tell this Tim Drake story with rising star artist Belen Ortega. And finally, acclaimed creator and actor Camrus Johnson writes an action-packed story featuring Luke Fox, the character he portrays on the CW's hit television series Batwoman. So as you can see, there's a lot of good things in that one. I think there's at least 3 stories that most people will enjoy in that one. Obviously, Batman is one of the more popular characters within the DCU. They have a lot of Batman titles out right now, but I think this one is definitely worth your money. But let's move on to the number 1 pick for this week, and that is DC Pride number 1. So first off, this one introduces a new hero named Dreamer, who is currently on the Supergirl television series. It is also written by James Tynion and Mariko Tamaki. And finally, we also have a Renee Montoya sighting, who is one of my favorite characters. So all of those things are why we made this one the #1 DC pick of the week. But let's go to the solicit and find out what's going on. So the solicit for this reads as follows. DC celebrates Pride Month with 9 all-new stories starring fan-favorite LGBTQIA+ characters: Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Midnighter, Extraño, Batwoman, Aqualad, Alan Scott, Obsidian, Future State Flash, Renee Montoya, Pied Piper, and many more. This anthology will also feature the thrilling introduction of new hero Dreamer in the DCU, as seen on the CW's The Supergirl. A pinup gallery with art by Travis Moore, Chris Anka, Kevin Wada, Sophie Campbell, Nick Robles, and more. 6 exciting new profiles of DC TV's LGBTQIA+ characters and the actors who portray them. So as you can see, there's lots to add, or lots of good stuff within this book, and that's why it has made our #1 pick of the week for the DC side of the equation. So let's move on to the top 3 independent picks of the week. Coming in at number 3 is 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, #1. This one just sounds like a fun little story. It sounds like it's approaching the story with a tongue-in-cheek kind of approach to it. So also the sidekicks take the center stage. The main character has passed away, and the 6 sidekicks are out there trying to solve the murder. But let's go to the solicit and see what it's about. So the solicit for this one reads as follows. The world's most unlikable action star has been found dead, and his previous TV sidekicks are looking to solve the mystery. But how can you catch a murderer when almost everyone hated the victim? Now these sidekicks are going to learn what it means to be the stars of the show. That is, if any of them survive the Stuntman War. For fans of Chew and Assassination comes a new action mystery series from Eisner Award nominees Chris Schweizer and Kyle Starks. So as you can see in the solicit, it sounds like it's a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. I'm looking forward to it. I think it has the potential to be a breakout story. But let's move on to number 2, and that is Bunny Mask #1. So this one makes the top 3 for independent books. #1, it's a horror series. As we all know, I do like horror series, despite my protesting of otherwise. It is also written by Paul Tobin, who is the creator of Colder. And finally, it has art by the artist from Maniac of New York, Andrea Muti. If you don't know, I've been promoting that book pretty hard. The story is really, really good. But let's go to solicit for this one and find out what it's about. A new horror series from the creator of the Eisner-nominated Colder. Sealed in a cave before the dawn of man, released by a crazed bad man, Bunny Mask walks our world once more. But for what dark purpose does she use her unnatural powers? And what's her connection to Bea Foster, a young girl murdered by her father 14 years ago? In order to save his life and his sanity, one man will have to discover the truth of what waits behind the mask. Writer Paul Tobin and artist Andrea Muti unleash an eons-old legend upon an unsuspecting world, one that'll make your most horrific nightmare feel like a walk in the park. So like I said, that one has a lot of cool aspects to it. It sounds like it's a long forgotten horror that has been released upon the world. I like those kind of stories, so we'll see how it goes. So let's move on to our #1 pick for the independents this week, and that is Cherry Blackbird #1. In this one, a singer has sold her soul to the devil. Once she hits 27 years old, he will collect. However, she is given another option. If she hunts down souls for the devil, she can find replacements for herself. This is a horror series. Just as a warning, I have read some advanced reviews stating that this one is way over the top in the first 3 to 6 pages. So if it is not your cup of tea for that sort of story, this is one that you may want to pass on. My understanding is it even makes the boys look a little lighthearted in some sense. So, but let's go to solicit and see what it has to say. So the solicit for this one reads as follows. Rock star Cherry Blackbird sold her soul for fame. Now at the age of 26, time is running short. The day she turns 27, she'll be dragged to hell. But Cherry is not one to go quietly. The devil tasked her with collecting 7 demonic souls that have escaped the abyss. If she can do this before her next birthday, she'll be released from her infernal pact and spared eternal damnation. Heaven help anyone who gets in her way. So like I said, this one has the potential to be a good action series, but also going into the horror. So I'm looking forward to that one. Like I said, if it does go too over the top, I may not be with it for all that long. However, I do know that there are readers out there who do love the over the top, just one action scene after another and going down the rabbit hole. Like I said, we'll see whether it pushes my boundaries or not, but I am looking forward to reading that story. So let's move to the Marvel top 3. Coming in at number 3 is the Star Wars Bounty Hunters number 13. The main reason that this one made the top 3 is it's part of the War of the Bounty Hunters epic storyline, as we have gone over a couple times already. This is a 34-parter that kind of bridges the gap between Han Solo and Boba Fett and being taken to Jabba the Hutt. But let's go to solicit for this one. The Wookiee always wins. Hot on the trail of Boba Fett, Valance and Dengar run into a rather large obstacle. The mighty Chewbacca. Will Tonga escape the trap set by a mysterious organization out to upend the underworld? And who is the figure in the shadows hunting them all? As I said, I think that at some point during this, you will also see some first appearances. I think that this one will have a big impact on the Star Wars books. So if you are a Star Wars fan, this is definitely one that you want to add to your stack. But let's move on to number 2 for the Marvel picks, and that is Spider-Man Spider Shadow number 3. Again, you've heard this name before on this list earlier today and also in other videos. Chip Zdarsky is the writer of this one. This is a great what-if story. The question posed in this one is, what if Venom had not left Peter Parker and he had been left to twist Peter Parker's life over the course of the following years? But let's read the solicit on this one. So solicit for this one reads as follows. What if Peter Parker became Venom? The greatest enemies of Spider-Man have band together to take the new version of Spider-Man down. They must act fast as their numbers dwindle at the hands of Spider-Man. While some plan for his demise, others like Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four hope to save him. But is it too late to have the old Spider-Man back, or even Peter Parker? So this one is also delving into how the different heroes are reacting to these turns in Peter Parker's life. So this, like I said, this one is very interesting to me. If you watched last week's Turning the Page, one of the things I'm hoping for is that they do a what if regarding the One More Day. So I'm glad that that they've extended the what if universe, and hopefully we see more great stories like this. But let's move on to the number 1 pick of the week for Marvel. And that is Heroes Reborn, Nightwing. Now I know some of you are going to be like, really? I will say that this one is more if you're looking for a fun story. Obviously it's not to be taken seriously. The Gwen Stacy character in this one is a mix between Harley Quinn and Batgirl. And more importantly, it has not more importantly, but also importantly, it has a great cover. But let's read the solicit for this one. And the solicit for this one reads as follows. Introducing Nightbird. By day, Dr. Gwendolyn Stacy is Ravencroft Asylum's leading psychiatrist, but by night she dons the guise of the vigilante known as Nightbird. But how did this happen? Why did this happen? And what does Kyle Richmond, the Nighthawk, have to do with it? There may not be any time to find out, because Nightbird must hunt down a new killer called the Jackal. So as I said, this one is more of a fun ride. It's not going to be taken into canon or anything like that. I do think that there's potential for some of these new versions of these characters to make it their way into the 616 universe if they prove to be popular. I don't know whether this will be the one or not, but like I said, this is just one if you're just looking for a lighthearted read to put on your stack. And that concludes this week's The Storm Watch. We appreciate you watching. Hopefully you found at least one book on this list that appeals to you. And just a friendly reminder to please LCS, like, comment, and subscribe to the Brainstorm Comics and Gaming YouTube channel. As you can see, we have lots of content that we're adding on a regular basis. Right now it's mostly comic book related, but we do have some gaming stuff on the horizon as well. But like I said, please LCS and enjoy your reading this week.